Okay, great. Here we go. So thanks everyone for joining. Today we are going to be talking a little bit about how when you dream big, you can get more focused. And sometimes I know when we are looking for a new role, perhaps we're unhappy with where we are, perhaps we've been made redundant, or perhaps we're feeling frustrated or not well. There's usually a driving reason for why we're looking for something. And the tendency can be potentially to just go straight onto LinkedIn or the job searches and to start looking at a job title or the salary. And we end up potentially in a very similar role or a similar place or a similar culture. And we haven't really given ourselves that time to think about what it is we really, really want. So that's what we're going to talk a bit about today. The session is being recorded. I will send it out so that you've got it afterwards. So just a little bit about me. I am a leadership and career coach, 25 years of senior corporate experience. I'm going to talk you through a little bit about my journey and why I'm so interested in doing this sort of work in a second. I'm an accredited coach, a trainer and facilitator. All my background was in customer services type work. So I worked for companies like Deloitte, KPMG, Elsevier, British Gas and Invensys. I now run my own business after I was made redundant 2.5 years ago. I took redundancy rather than go and do a global role that would have had me travelling around. Of course, the pandemic might have meant I could have done all of that job from home, but I didn't have the crystal ball that would have told me that at the time. So that's a little bit about me. And part of what I was doing, I was thinking about this webinar about how we can kind of dream big. I thought actually about my own journey, and I thought it might be just useful to see some of the trigger points that made me change where I was and made me think slightly differently about what I wanted. And without really realizing it at the time, that's kind of led me to where I am today. And during my career, certainly when I became a people manager and a team leader, it helped me to really help others choose their career. I've done career advice and career management interview skills and so on all the way through my career, and that's kind of led to where I am today. So this timeline doesn't half go back because it starts in 1993, which I realised I had to have 2 lines. And after university, I went and did some administrative jobs, started in customer services. I had no plan at all. I did my degree in geography and I ended up in a job that I basically took the first job. I had no dream. I didn't do the dream big thing there. I just took what was offered. And suddenly I became an expert in the electricity industry and a customer services person. I just seemed to have some skills that I could tap into. I've put this little dot here as to why I made a change. And at this point here, I was being completely underappreciated. I was doing so much more work. They wouldn't promote me. And I just thought, right, I've had enough. And I went and got a job at British Gas, which was very different, similar industry. And I realised what the skills were that I had. And interestingly, you see that I went back to IMServe because they sort of did that whole, oh, we don't know what you've got until it's gone. And they invited me back. And this time they invited me back with the package, with the responsibility that I probably should have had before. My daughter was born at that point. And I then got to a director level. I was only probably 28 at the time, so I'd done that very, very quickly. And then my son was born, and at that point I got made redundant. I think looking back, because I was pregnant, they of course would not ever admit that. But at the time, I was the only woman in the company who had had a baby. It was a very new company. Anyway, I left and I then had my son, Dan, So I was looking for something else there. And I went and found another job as a project manager and started to move more into IT. And this time things started to change in terms of why I was looking for new work. And my son actually was ill. I got a phone call from a nursery that said that he might have meningitis. And this job was over an hour's commute. And I remember it was just the longest journey of my life to get home. He didn't have meningitis, luckily, and everything was fine. But at that point, I decided that I could not do that job and I needed to think differently. And this was the first time I really probably sat down and thought, what is it that I really want? I was on good money there. I'd been actually offered to go and be promoted. And so I had this kind of conundrum: have the promotion and more money, or take a huge pay cut, 2 grade drop, and be close to my son. And I chose to be close to my son. And the difference it made to me then was I could do the school run. I could actually see him at the start and end of the day. So that was a big change for me. And I actually think that was a key moment where I started to think what it was I wanted. And I took a drop in terms of my grade. I'd been a director. I took 2 steps back down to manager. I then got back up to director. But you see here, I had big health issues. I was under a lot of stress, chronic migraines, which I ignored for a long time until they completely knocked me over. And I made a couple of decisions then. I made some decisions to ask for part-time working because I realised that that was something I needed. And then 2.5 years ago, when this job was offered as a global restructure, I could do a global job, then I took redundancy because I chose to set up my own business. And that was 2 years ago that I set up. And I'm now an executive coach, facilitator and trainer. So you've probably got some points perhaps in your career, you might have made pivotal decisions, and it might be that at the time you didn't realise what those decisions were going to lead to. But certainly if you're feeling a little bit frustrated now is the time to start thinking about what it is you really want. And for me, I believe that if we can start with kind of a blank piece of paper and start to really think about what we really want, what we're really good at, what really drives us, then that can help us to be really focused on what our search is. I see a lot of people who do kind of a scattergun approach with CVs or applications, and I get it, because when you're feeling very stressed and perhaps even feeling that little bit desperate to get out of where you are, then you see a job and you think, right, I'm going to apply for that, I'm going to apply for that one, I'm going to apply for that one, and out they go. And it feels like you're doing something, but then if you get a rejection or you don't even get a reply, and I know a lot of agencies and a lot of companies, they just don't reply, that can really make your ego knock, your confidence starts to knock, and looking for another job takes a lot of time. So for me, this is about kind of think big, do a bit of preparation up front, get that on a piece of paper. And I'm going to talk you through a little planner I've got that you can download, and get those ideas on paper and then start to channel where you really want to be. If you then only apply for 3 or 5 jobs that are really, really resonating with you, that are really, really focused, you can tailor your CV properly, you can do proper cover letter or whatever it is they're asking for in support, or you can do some networking around it or whatever, then my belief is that you'll save time, you'll feel more confident, and hopefully be more successful, because the job that you apply for and that you want is a really good match. And someone recently that I was coaching, we did this exercise, and she applied for this job that she'd done all of the research. She knew that it was a great cultural fit. She knew that the hours were going to match. She knew the location was exactly where she wanted it. And because she could turn up so enthusiastically at the interview, they had a real connection and they really clicked. And she got the job. And then 6 months later, they've offered her something else within the organisation because they just said, you're such a great fit. And so, I can't guarantee that will happen every time, but I think that because she got that culture match right, it meant that the opportunity within the organisation was much better. So as I say, we'll review what you really want. Also thinking about things like your passions. I said at the start there, I'd gone into electricity industry. I didn't know anything about electricity. I became an industry expert where I sat on panels defining the electricity regulations. I had no idea that I was going to do that. Is it what I really wanted to do? No. I just happened to fall into that particular industry. So if I was reviewing what my passions are, and I did this myself when I took the redundancy from Deloitte, my passions are all about people. I had a lot of people where I worked, but I did a lot of customer services, call centre type things. And I thought, well, actually, if I can really make sure that everything that I do in the new job, the new company, is all about people, I can ditch all of the customer services bit and the complaints and people moaning and systems and things. I just want to do the people stuff. So this is about really thinking about what it is that gets you out of bed in the morning. So this is a little mind map that I've created. You can download it and I'll send you a link afterwards so you can get that. And what I encourage you to do is to take a blank piece of paper and start to work through, and we'll go through some of these things here. This isn't an exhaustive list of everything you might think about, but it can really help to start. So, for example, if you start with location, at the moment, some people can do working from home. We've got this idea of hybrid working. Some jobs won't allow you to do that, but you might think about whether you want to work from home at all. If you want to work in the office, what would you ideally want to do? Now, this isn't about what you might like and it would be okay and I'd accept. This is, in your ideal world, my dream would be to travel the world. My dream would be to only work from home. My dream would be to work 3 days a week locally, so I can walk there or catch a bus there. So this is the time to throw away any kind of expectations of what you should be doing or could be doing or so-and-so said I ought to be doing. This is about what you really want. So you can start to look at things like locally. If ideally you'd like to just get up in the morning and walk 10 minutes to your job, put that down. If your job, you'd love to be doing travel and going seeing different places, that's what you'd put down. For me, the reason I turned down the global role within Deloitte was because although most of it, the Milton Keynes Centre where I'm based, was staying, they actually wanted to have monthly board meetings in each location around the world. So it would have meant going to Australia 1 month, America 1 month, India the next month, Canada, and then the UK, and then Europe as well. And I was like, no, I don't fancy that. So it might be on your wish list, but it wasn't on mine. So then you can start thinking about the hours. Is it full time that you want, or is now the time you want to start to be thinking about part time? Do you want to do evening work, or if you're doing shift work, maybe you don't want to be doing that anymore. Maybe you want to be doing something a little bit different. How flexible do you want to be? Would you prefer to have more of a contract type arrangement where you do a certain number of days in a month or a year? And what about your start and end times? Some people are early birds. They'd actually really, in an ideal world, they might say, look, I'd like to start at 8, finish at 2. Other people, that would be horrendous. They prefer to do, lunchtime onwards and don't mind going into the evenings. You could think about weekends as well. And these things change over time. When I was younger and I didn't have my kids, I worked a lot more hours. When my kids were born, I wanted to be nearer home. I wanted to work less. When my health affected me and my migraines kicked in, I took part-time as a way of being able to carry on working Really, probably what I wanted to do was what I'm doing now, but it was a step towards a goal. Then we start thinking about the role. You know, when we look at what we want, or sorry, when we start looking at applications and applying for a job, we often start to just apply for the same thing, same title. You know, customer services manager, HR advisor, whatever, IT manager. Is that actually what you want to be doing? And so something you could start to do is to look at every single element of your job right now and note down the bits that you love, the absolute bits that make your heart sing, and you think, yes, if I could be doing this every single day, all day long, I'd be doing this. And you can also write down all the things you don't like. You know, for me, it would be budgets and finance. Not a great fan. So, you know, for me, it would be people and coaching and helping people. That would be on my dream list. And if I can get rid of anything to do with finance and budgets and data analysis, I'd probably happily ditch that. Now, you're not necessarily going to find a job that has 100% of everything you love and nothing of what you hate. However, you can start to really assess the job mix as it comes up. If a job application says, you know, this is a key element is to assess and look at budgets as part of the operation, I might go, I don't really fancy that. But so you can start to really weigh up what it is you want to apply for. No point in applying for a job where it's actually 60% what you don't like and only 40% of what you do like. And if you can get that swaying slightly more, so it's more 60, 70, 80% of what you like, you're going to be more motivated, you're going to enjoy it more. I think you'll be more successful because you'll be doing the things you love, and that shines through when you're in work. So you can look at your role. You might also be thinking, I actually want to do something completely different. I want to do something new. I always think of you know, the program MasterChef, where, you know, there's always somebody who comes on and they say, why are you here? And they say, well, I've always wanted to be a chef ever since I was 16, but my dad told me I had to be a lawyer. And so I went off to uni and I went to be a lawyer, and I've been a lawyer for 20 years and I absolutely hate it. And now I want to be a chef. And they always come back to these passions. So I wonder whether for you, is there something that is a passion? It might be something you do as a hobby. It might be something that you do that's always just in the background and you just always do this stuff, but you love it. Is there something there that you could do in a job with the skills that you've got from your other career? So that might be something that's niggling in the back of your mind of, actually, I'd like to do something different. So you could assess what skills you've got, what are the things that light you up, what are the skills that you've got that you want to be using, and then see what that starts to look like. Does it look like, oh, that plus that could be that sort of job? You can start to think as well about whether you want something that's a bit more challenging or less challenging, depending on your point of career. Some people might be feeling like they're being overlooked and want to do more, want promotion. So job applications need to be thinking about how you get to that next level. Other people might be thinking, God, I've had absolutely enough. Or in my case, where my children were very small, I had the decision to make of taking a job cut, pay cut, two grade cut to be less challenging at that time. For me, that worked. And a big one that I think is overlooked when people look for work, because we're so focused on the job title and the salary, is the culture. And the culture is absolutely key for whether you're going to actually join a company and enjoy it. So one of the things that I talk about a lot in my coaching and in my coaching program, which I'll talk a little bit more about later, is around how to understand what your own vision and values are and how you then match it up to the culture. And culture can be at a very high level. You can have an organization's culture, and you'll be able to see that on websites, with vision statements and value statements, and what they do for corporate responsibility and all that kind of thing. But it's also about the people, and it can really be affected as well by the boss and the team and the sort of style of work that you're doing. So something to research is what the culture is like at a potential place that you're applying for. But the pre-work that I'm talking about, in this dream world, what would you like it to be? I'd like a company that is fast and fast-paced and technical and go-get-em and, really vibrant. Or you might say, no, I want a really caring, somebody that gives back to society. I want to be helping people. I want to be in the charity sector. I want this feeling of giving back. There's all sorts of different cultures. But it would be a good start to think about what it is you really would like. Maybe you've worked in organisations where you have really loved the culture. There was some buzz about it. And if you can just tune back into, it might have been a person or a team or a building, and you could just tune in and think, what was it about that place that I worked at, or that person or that team, that really made me happy there? And it might be to do with the fact that you had a laugh with people, that there was no blame culture, that you were trusted. It might be that you had empowerment and you just got on with it, and people gave you responsibility. It might be that people said thank you. A lot of companies, people don't say thank you at all. And they just expect you to turn up day in, day out and do the work, and they don't say hello or thanks. And that's a major thing for people. So have a think about what it was in places that you've been at that you really liked, and see if you can kind of get that into like a few nuggets, and just sort of bottling that essence of what it is you'd be looking for. When you really know what that culture is that you're looking for, when you go and apply for another job, you will be able to sense it, either through, well, you might even not apply for a company because actually you can tell from the wording that it doesn't match, something's not quite right. If you go for a job interview and you know what you're looking for culturally, you'll sense it in the interview as well. Are they talking your language? Interviews are just about as you interviewing them as they interview you. Do they match what they're saying on their website actually in the room? And you'll be able to get that sense. No point in jumping to a job where you already think the culture's a bit off because the interview was a bit dodgy. But I believe that you have to kind of know a little bit more about that yourself before you walk in. And sometimes if we don't do that prep work of, right, what is it I'm actually looking for, then we wouldn't even notice whether that vibe was off or not. So the culture's there. Then we've got the people. I touched a little bit about this on culture, but you might be again thinking about your dream situation. What do you want? Do you want to work on your own? Do you love a team? Has the pandemic been an absolute nightmare because you've been stuck in your office or your dining room table at home and you've not been able to see anybody? Do you get a buzz out of people, or do you actually prefer to be, I'm quite happy here, thanks very much, on my own? What is it your dream would be? Do you want a team that is fun, sociable, quiet? A lot of people really don't like going out and doing all the social things with work. So if it's a very kind of buzzy young place where everyone's going to go out every Friday night and you think, oh, that's not for me, or you might love that idea. So again, this is about capturing what it is for you that you would prefer. If you're in leadership or management type positions, you might think about the size of your team. What would you prefer? What would be your ideal? And if you are thinking on a management point of view, not just the size of the team, but what the support is underneath. So, for me, I recently did, during the pandemic, I did a contract where I was a head of department, and I had only 3 senior managers supporting a team of 180 people or something like that, which is just not the right number. So you have to think about, yes, the job might be great, and there's 180 people, that sounds quite, big, but actually I've only got 3 people helping me manage it, and that's going to mean that I'm dragged into detail quite a lot. So thinking about what support elements are available if you are thinking about leadership. And you might also think about learning and development. Maybe you're someone who is really keen on, in an ideal world, I'd like to get my X qualification. I'd like to actually have time off to do my next degree or an MBA or a CIPD or whatever floats your boat. It might be that you just want to have an organisation that is supportive of learning, that they've got a programme for you, that you want to do management training, and they really encourage it. So again, this is about ideally what would you really, really want from that sort of section. And then finally, and I have deliberately left this till last, package. Most of the time, people will look at the money and the job title as kind of why I would apply for a job. Package is important. We all need to pay the bills, and you definitely need to be thinking about what it is you're worth and what you should be getting. But you could also put on here, you're in an ideal world, you'd be getting this amount. And in an ideal world, the other package elements that you want. So for some people, it might be that they want a certain number of days of holiday, or it might be that they have to have a certain level of pension or car allowance or healthcare or whatever it is you like. So now would be the time that you could start to add those sorts of elements to the list. When you finish, you'll end up with like a whole page of stuff, and you can then start to piece it together. And this will be your ideal sort of situation. So you might have decided that you want a local job that is part-time, it's something new, and the culture is going to be vibrant and dynamic. I'm only working for a small team, and I need to be earning £35,000 with 25 days holiday. That's kind of the ideal, whatever you've come up with. But you might also say that there are some elements in there that are more non-negotiable than others. So if you got offered something that was completely local, you didn't have any costs associated with the commute, then you might say, actually, the package I could accept is a bit less. Or you might say, actually, I will never, ever switch from this idea that I need to work 4 days a week from home. If they offer me 3 days a week from home, I'm going to turn it down. So one of the things to do at the end of this is to work out what are the absolute non-negotiables here. We could say we want a certain type of company, but we could be quite adaptable with what that looks like. Or we might say it's only purely charity sector or only purely law firms that I'm looking for. So once you've kind of done your ideal, you can then start to say, well, what would be my give and take points? Because then you can start to see, if you were to apply for a job, this becomes your checklist, and it becomes your checklist for whether you even apply, and it becomes your checklist for interview, and it becomes your checklist for offers. And when you get to sort of that application stage, this is where I'm saying dreaming big helps you be focused. Because once you've got this list and it's all there in front of you, and you see a job that comes up on LinkedIn or it comes up on Indeed or whatever, and you start to look through all of the elements and you go, oh, I wanted local. This says London 3 times a month. Do I want to do that? Nope. Okay, I'm not going to apply. This says 37.5 hour week and must include a Saturday every other month. No, I don't want weekends. Scrub that. So you will start to really only apply for things that are ticking the boxes on your list. And some people might be thinking, well, that means you're going to be quite limited. But I think that you would not, if you got an interview and you got an offer, you possibly wouldn't want that job anyway. So all you're doing is kind of applying for things that you might then turn down later. Better to apply for only the things you want, and hopefully then be more focused and more enthusiastic about getting them. So as I say, that little mind map is available to download, and I'll send out the links. And then the last piece here is thinking about your passions. And I didn't put that on specifically on the other mind map, but I found that this can be another different angle. So we talked about what is it that you love doing in your work, and what elements of it that you like. There's another angle, which is what did you love to do as a child? That might give you some insights. It might not, might not be any relevance at all, but it's just another question to ask. And the other one is actually looking at what people praise you the most for. When I do my coaching, I am surprised by when I ask people what their key skills are. They often really don't know, and they sort of underestimate what it is they're good at. And they'll say things like, oh, but doesn't everybody do it like that? No, they do not. Or, oh, but I've always done it that way, and it's just so easy for me. It's come so naturally. That's not valued, or it's not important. You think, but that is exactly why you're good at what you do. So sometimes thinking about what things people praise you the most for can give you some insights as to what it is that you are good at and why it is that you're good at. So we can say that we're good. I could say that I was a good people leader, but that doesn't really tell me anything in terms of if I was reading that on a CV. But if I was to say that I can really listen to people, I've got empathy, I can understand what people are saying quite quickly, I can be quite sympathetic with people and build a rapport quickly or something like that, that's going to be, I can use that wording better in a CV than just people leader. So it can help with the language, but also it's really showing in an interview or on a CV, what it is actually about me that is good. So you start to get away from just bog standard language in a CV that just says good with people, good with computers, whatever. You're talking about the real essence of what it is that you're doing. So my view is that by dreaming big, visualizing what you want and what you don't want, it will save you time, effort, energy. I believe that it will also improve your confidence because you will be focusing on the stuff that you're good at. You'll be focusing on things that you really love. And when we do things that we love, we're better at them and we get more praise for them anyway. And then it means your applications are tailored. You've got time to tailor the 2 or 3 applications rather than sending out 52 this weekend. You can tailor them. You can put a bit more personality in, a bit more personal information, which is more likely to stand out when you are getting through. Bear in mind, people are getting hundreds of applications and you actually want to stand out. So if you can tailor them and you're using the language and you're using stuff that's giving you a bit more energy, you might find that your hit rate of getting through to interview is a bit higher. And then hopefully then the types of job you're applying for are a better match. And then your offers are going to be ones that actually think, yeah, I really wanted that one, because you know you've done your research and that's a good company. So any questions? Well, we're still recording, but is there any questions on that before I move on just to some things that are coming up from me next. Okay, no, thank you. So just to let you know a couple of things that are coming up, I'm running these webinars every month. So there's another one in August. So the date is there. That will be on Eventbrite as well. So again, I'll send this out so you have the link. If any of you are local to Northampton or Milton Keynes, I'm actually there in person in September at an exhibition. And if you are thinking that you want a bit more support, there's a few different ways that I can potentially help you. If you're thinking about one-to-one coaching, then I offer a free half an hour consultation to talk about what goals you might have, how I can help, and the one-to-one sort of packages that I do. If you're looking for something that's a little bit more affordable, got slightly different ranges, obviously the one-to-ones are a little bit more, but I also run the program as an online. So one of the exercises you can see on there is the thing we've just gone through, your dream role. But there is also a whole range of different exercises in there. So we talk about your values, your vision, your ethos, your skills, how to write a skills-based CV. There's a bit in there about confidence, interviews. So there's a range of things. There's videos and workshops and workbooks, I should say, not workshops, workbooks. So you can fill through and run the course. And this is based on all of the things I do for my private coaching clients. I've converted it into online with videos and the support there. So that might be something that you're interested in. You can have a look on there. It's normally £235. That's for the whole suite, and it's self-led, so you can do it as quickly or as slow as you like. There is a discount for people who've attended today, and there's a code webinar10, which takes 10% off if you're interested in that. So finally, just a whole load of links, and again, I'm not expecting you to write those down, by the way. That will come out with the deck, so you can see that, and you can. There's some other free download stuff on my training website, so you'll be welcome to have a look at those. The other webinars that I did last month are also on there if you wanted to watch those, or else if you wanted to book a 30-minute coaching intro with me, you can do that via my calendar. Cool. So thank you very much, everyone. I'm going to stop the record now.